19. From my memory, at least.
Yeah, we read 18 yesterday.
3-2.
Yeah. Jeshta Bhavadbir Nanu Rajasuya Chaijasya Krishnam Dvishato Api Siddhi Yam Yogina Samspriyanti Samyag Yogena Kas Taviraham Saheta Tristavabadbir Nanu Rajasuye Chaijasya Krishnam Dvishatopi Siddhi Yam Yogina Samsprihayanti Samyag Yogena Kastad Viraham Saheta Tristavavadbir Nanu Rajasuye Chaidyasya Krishnam Dvishatopi Siddhi Yam Yogina Samsprihayanti Samyag Yogena kastad viraham saheta.
Drishta bhavadvinanurajasuye Sharyasya Krishnam Drisato Pisidhi Yam Yogina Samspriyayanti Samyak Yogena Kastar Viraham Saheta Drisato Pisidhi Yam Yogina Samspriyayanti Samyak Yogina Kastar Viraham Sahete
Anyone else? Yasya Krishnam Drishato Siddhi Yam Yogina Samsprihayanti Samyak Yogena Kastad Viraham Saheta. Drishta, it has been seen. Bhavadbhi, by your good self. Nanu, of course. Rajasuye, in the assembly of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhisthira. Chaidyasya, of the king of Chedi, Shishupala. Krishnam, unto Krishna. Dvishatam, envying. Api, in spite of. Siddhi, success. Yam, that which. Yogina, the yogis. Samsprihayanti, verily desire. Samyak, fully. Yogena, by performance of yoga. Ka, who. Tat, his. Viraham, separation. Saheta, can tolerate. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C., or translation first, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. You have personally seen how the king of Chedi, Shishupal, achieved success in yoga practice, although he hated Lord Krishna. Even the actual yogis achieved success with great interest by performance of their various practices. Who can tolerate separation from him? Purport. Lord Krishna's causeless mercy was exhibited in the great assembly of Maharaj Yudhisthira. He was merciful even to his enemy, the king of Chedi, who always tried to be an envious rival of the Lord. Because it is not possible to be a bona fide rival of the Lord, the king of Chedi was extremely malicious toward Lord Krishna. In this, he was like many other asuras, such as Kamsa and Jarasandha. In the open assembly of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhisthira, Shishupal insulted Lord Krishna, and he was finally killed by the Lord. But it was seen by everyone that in the assembly that a light flashed out of the body of the king of Chedi and merged into the body of Lord Krishna. This means that Chedi Raj achieved the salvation of attaining oneness with the Supreme, which is a perfection most desired by the Gyanis and Yogis, and for which they execute their different types of transcendental activities. It is a fact that persons who are trying to understand the Supreme Truth by their personal endeavors of mental speculation or mystic powers achieve the same goal as others who are personally killed by the Lord. Both activities achieve the salvation of merging into the Brahma Jyoti rays of the transcendental body of the Lord. The Lord was merciful even to his enemy, and the success of the king of Chedi was observed by everyone who was present in the assembly. Vidura was also present there, and therefore Uddhava referred the incident to his memory. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurumilitanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Desatarane. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namane Madhur Jojala Premaja Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karunashati Vigrahaya Namostute. Namo Varsha Vanavi Devi Dayitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Dayane Prabhave Namaha. Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dina Tarane Rupa Nuga Viruda Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harane. Namo Gaurakishoraya Satchit Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Padambu Jaya Te Namaha. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchit Ananda Namane Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupa Nuga Varayate Gaura Virbhave Bhume Swam Nirdesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarva Bhoma Jagannathaya Te Namaha. Namo Mahavaranaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaura Tvishe Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. All right, so everyone knows Shishupal, right? Who was Shishupal in the previous life?
I don't remember his previous life, but wasn't he like Ravana or Kumbhakarna or something?
One of them, yeah. Anybody know which one? Yeah. Shishupal and Dantavakra was the same Hiranyakasipu. And so Shishupal was born and he had an extra eye and he had 4 arms. And his mother was, they were very distressed. He was like a freak. And then the Brahmin said that when he sees the person who will kill him, it'll become normal. So he's in Krishna's family, like some kind of cousin or something. And when others came to see, when he saw Krishna, the eye disappeared and the 2 arms disappeared. So the mother was panicking. I guess Krishna was a little older then. So Krishna said, I won't kill him until he insults me 100 times. Something like that. But he always hated Krishna from birth. He said even when he couldn't talk, baby talk, he's blaspheming Krishna. But he became very very powerful king. And so at the Rajasuya sacrifice, they were asking who should be the first worshipped person. So Nakula or Sahadev, can I get some water or something? Nominated Krishna, and everybody agreed. Yes. Except Shishupal. So he got up and he started saying, nobody knows where he comes from. You don't know if he's a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a cowherd boy or a king or what. He's just a mess, And he does all these things that are, not proper. How can anybody worship him? So everybody got very angry. And the Brahmanas were running away and the Kshatriyas were pulling out their swords and, Bhima especially. And Krishna said, no, it's all right, And so he went on with these insults, one after another. And there is a listing of how Mother Saraswati twisted the meanings of, the words he used, that he used them as an insult, but actually they're praises. That's the word like he's the lowest of mankind, but can also mean he makes everybody else go down, So many things like that. So after he got to the 100 or 108, whatever it was, Krishna took his chakra and it was right in the middle of the yajna arena. So if one drop of blood would fall, then they couldn't do the yajna. Would contaminate the arena. So, of course, the chakra can be very hot. So anyway, it didn't bleed. Cut off his head. I don't know how far away the head went, but there was no blood. I saw a video game machine in Japan, and they cut off someone's head, and blood was like spraying out. I don't know, I think there's a lot of blood, So, but there was not even one drop of blood, nothing touched the ground. And Kshatriyas, they just moved the body away and carried on. It's just like normal. Some fighting like that, somebody gets killed. So then Krishna was the first worshipped. But they saw that the spark, the soul, entered in the body of Krishna, so he was able to merge. Actually, that's when he went back to Vaikuntha to be Jaya and Jiva, Jaya or Vijaya, whichever he was. And some of the last demon Krishna killed was Dantavakra, and he got really angry and was running off to Dwarka to kill Krishna. And he said dressed only in his anger. But Krishna, he had no trouble killing them, but then he could actually go back to Vrindavan. So the point that's being made here is that mystic yogis, they want to merge into the body of the Lord or their, whatever. But they have to do great tapasya, And the demons, they get killed by the Lord, they get the same liberation. Of course, not just any demon gets killed by Krishna. Like that Mr. Nair who was making so much trouble in Bombay. Prabhupada was happy when he heard that he died. And somebody asked, did Krishna kill him? And Prabhupada was saying before that he made so much trouble and he this and that. And Somebody said, did Krishna kill him? And probably no, he wasn't such a big demon. You know, that Krishna would come and kill him. His karma killed him, because a few days before that, he had talked to Prabhupada, and he got really vicious and was threatening to come and break the deity and, you know, remove them from the land and all this. And Prabhupada got really angry also for the first time and was shouting. And then a few days later, he had a heart attack. So he got too excited, I guess, because he was an unhealthy, fat guy. But devotees are not interested in that kind of liberation. Devotees just want to serve Krishna. There's different kinds of liberation. You know, you can have the same features or live on the same planet, or especially merging into the effulgence, and no devotee wants to even touch that one. But many, many yogis, that's what they're seeking. But we heard about these demons, they get that by their, you know, they work so hard to get their mystic powers. Of course, these big demons, they work also probably in a previous life, but to get all the power that they have, you know, to conquer here, there, and everywhere, and become big, big kings. And, you know, and we know they did great tapasya like Ravana, Hiranyakasipu. See how long you can stand on your tiptoes with your hands up in the air. Right? How long can you do that? He did 1,000 years of the demigods. And nobody ever did anything like that since or before. But that's one type of tapasya. Arjuna did something like that also, to go to the heavenly planets, and then he was able to collect much more weapons and, you know, get weapons from all the different demigods. But I think he did it just so many hours a day or something, but for some time. That was while the Pandavas were in exile. Yudhishthira told him to do that so he could go. And of course, Indra wanted Arjuna to come and visit the heavenly planets also, because he's actually his father. So now there's many people like Chaitya Raj, Shishupal, not so big and powerful, but they blaspheme Krishna. They write books. Like in this time, the demons actually tried to fight with Krishna and kill Krishna, and Krishna was personally present. Now they're philosophers, supposed philosophers, and they claim there's no God, that religion is the cause of all the trouble in the world, and so many things like that. And they become popular, actually, one way or another. So we have to fight them, you know, by spreading the truth. People, like Rabindra Swarup Prabhu is preaching in universities. So you know, there'd be intelligent people and discussing, and they'd say, I don't believe in God. And he would ask them, well, what do you think God is? And then he'd say, well, I don't believe in that either. You know, they haven't been taught, you know, what is God, or just a bunch of different ideas. They don't want to believe it, that there's someone so great. And many religions teach that God is, you know, angry and vengeful, and he's going to punish you for all your sins, and so they don't like to believe in something like that. But Krishna doesn't have to do that. Krishna will personally come for a devotee who's trying to serve him, and you know, he appears, and for us, and we're very fortunate that he's appearing in the openly, like yogis. They're trying to see the super soul, real yogis, and they have to do a lot of meditation for a long time, and eventually they can actually see the super soul within the heart. we can't do that. We can't concentrate and meditate, give up everything. I mean, they really give up everything. They go by themselves far away, and they just tolerate all the different changes of weather, all the insects, wild animals, whatever it is, and they just keep meditating. Like Narada Muni did that in his previous life, but then the Lord did appear, but then he disappeared. But now Krishna is appearing in the holy name, anywhere and everywhere, and doing the best he can to spread that holy name like we do Harinam every day. And the whole idea of that is to, of course, for our own purification, it's very purifying to just chant for a few hours every day, or more the better. But to let others hear the holy name and become attracted. So we try to look nice, we try to smile, try to have nice music, nice book display, be ready that the holy name is spreading actually all over the universe in a subtle way in the ether. But we're especially concerned about the people who actually hear it. We see so many people, they're watching, even they're recording. Although sometimes it looks like somebody's recording, but they're actually trying to get a selfie with the Union Square sign, behind it. They're sitting there like this, and that they're actually taking a selfie and trying to get the Union Square station entrance thing to show that they've been there, And some are watching because they think, what is this demoniac, and some like it. So that's the idea. We want them to like it. We want the whole world to hear it. Of course, people get used to it. The first time I came out there some years ago, there was always a big crowd. They'd come up the stairs and they'd stop, Now, I think there's not as many people riding the subways either as there used to be. They're afraid, but they've seen it before, so I know what it is. But they don't know. But if they constantly hear the holy name, and then Krishna appears in the form of the holy name, he appears in the form of the books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. That's also an incarnation of Krishna in the literary, and he's appearing as a deity form in temples all over the world. And deities are traveling all over on buses and, going to every town and village and giving their darshan, giving their mercy, Ratha Yatra everywhere. This is the causeless mercy of the Lord. And that's our business. And we've been, given all this mercy, and then we want to share it. We want to give it to everybody. Like if you have we had the medicine, Lord Chaitanya that Bhakti Vinod wrote, he's calling, wake up, I'm giving you the holy name, to come to save you, so wake up, how long are you going to stay in Maya? How long are you going to go on thinking that I'm this body and I can enjoy the material world? And Maya is so strong, like so many people go by with their Starbucks, right? What do they cost? $5 or one coffee?
Well, I can barely understand you. You start speaking loud and
oh, really? Okay, you should be listening on the internet, then it comes. So people are spending so much money, they're walking by with a big coffee, they spend $4 or $5. And you give them a book and they want to give $1, right? Because they don't know the value of it. The coffee gives them a quick fix. How long does it last, All it does is make you want another one, All this sense gratification. If it gives them any pleasure, they just want to do it again. And if somebody really listens to the holy name, or they really read the Bhagavad Gita, then we get that desire also that, okay, I want to chant more. want to read the Bhagavad Gita again and again and again. Some people, we talk to them, they say, oh yeah, I read it, I read it, I like it, you know. And there's so many people all over the world that have gotten books, that are listening to the Holy Name online. So devotees, you know, one devotee this morning, he was from Japan, he was saying how people are getting more real knowledge now, you know, from the YouTube. Before they only watch television, and television is, whatever's on television is just controlled by the advertising. Whoever's sponsoring the show tells them what kind of information they should give out. But the YouTube, you know, people can put whatever they want. So the real point is we should be taking advantage of that. We should be using all this media. When I went to the GBC college one time, and when Mataji, she's the communication director of Juhu Temple or something, and they had number 4 for likes on Facebook, the Juhu Temple page. You know, so many people look at it. But she was saying every devotee should have their own page, Facebook, YouTube, you know, Twitter, all these things, and put something, you know, regularly. Even if you just read a few slokas, or you just put picture of Krishna, you know, you just put a picture of the Bhagavad Gita, you know, something. So we flood. So, you know, because the more it's out there, the more when people search for things, you know, like you'll see somebody's Twitter and then it says spiritual, this, that, meditation, so many different categories where it'll come up. So people are looking for so many things. So we want to flood the waves with, you know, Krishna, with Bhagavad Gita and the Maha Mantra. There's so many swamis that are, and they mention bhakti as one of the things you can do, you know, but you can also be a complete Mayavadi, you can be a Sahajya, you know, they don't just differentiate. So somebody has to, you know, give the real knowledge out. That's why we have books, and that's why Prabhupada stressed so much. Distribute books, distribute books, distribute books. And when we talk to people, you know, the general tendency is when someone's trying to tell you something, your mind is thinking how to argue with them. Not really listening. Some people, sometimes we get submissive, but he said if they take the book, they might, oh yeah, I gave $5, so let me see what's in here, you know, they got some curiosity, some interest. So they'll read it in a more submissive state of mind than if we just talk to them. So that's what we want to. We can't purify Shishupal type people, you know, like Krishna did by killing him. He killed the Ravana. That's special mercy, and when Krishna kills the demons. But now Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada said if he was going to kill all the demons, he'd have to kill everybody. Everybody is either a demoniac or living a life that is controlled by demons, just sense gratification. So we want people to get purified. So we're giving them prasadam, we're giving them the holy name, we're giving them the transcendental literature, and a chance to associate with devotees. So we make temples. We want to have many temples. We want to have many restaurants. I don't know exactly when Starbucks started. I wish we could spread Krishna consciousness so fast, right? They're everywhere now. They open a new one across the street from the other one. They calculate, well, a lot of people only walk on this side, and it worked. So somehow or other, people, and then there's so many other similar shops, because they get some intoxication, they get some quick, you know. But they get much better if they chant the holy name. But in order to do that, people need association. We have to provide our association. We have to provide Prabhupada's association and Prabhupada's books. even if people don't read them. The one guy the other day, he was Spanish, so I was talking to him and he was looking at the books, and so I gave him the Spanish books, and he was saying something, 30 years. When he saw Prabhupada's picture, he said, "Oh yeah, I know this." And then we talked to him more, Kalia talked to him, and he said he got a Bhagavad Gita 30 years ago in English. And he's always wishing he could read it, but he couldn't read it, even though he's been in New York all this time. He works with Pakistani people or something, and he really likes their food and everything. So he got so excited, he just took this book, that book, piled up all the Spanish books. Said, "Can I have all these?" And he gave him money, and he was so happy. And now he could finally read this book, because he just had been looking at the picture of Prabhupada all these years and wanting to hear from him, but he couldn't read it. But somehow Krishna arranged, after 30 years, he gets it. Some people just have it in their house and never look at it for 30 years, and then they read it and become devotees. So there's never a loss, when we give the Bhagavad Gita to someone, they always gain. So, let's see, any comment or question from anybody? See if we can get some action. We don't have a very big crowd today. Yes, sir. If you talk loud, that one picks up, this one. If you talk loud, this little microphone picks it up. They can hear online.
There was a time that we were distributing books in New Zealand, and we were actually even trying to distribute sets of Bhagavatam. And I went up to a man's house in New Zealand, and he opened the door when I knocked, and I said, "Have you ever heard of Bhagavad Gita or Vedic knowledge?" And he didn't answer. He just did this, wiggled his finger to have me come in. And I went into his house, and right in the beginning of his house there was a bookshelf, and there was Bhagavad Gita, the entire Bhagavatam, and the Chaitanya Charitamrita set in his house. Oh, and then I noticed that in each book there was like those sloka cards we used to have, 3x5. He had those stuffed in each volume of Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita. And I asked him about that, and he said, "Oh, that's where I disagreed with the book."
Bookmarks, huh?
I thought, here is someone that went through all the trouble to read the entire Bhagavatam, the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita, the entire Bhagavad Gita, and register where he disagreed with the book. So I just thought that there was something kind of ironic about that, and I found that pretty interesting. Another thing that I wanted to mention was, I just found it today, that in the Vedic literature, there are some stories that actually promote illusion. So the Bhagavatam is, the words of Krishna, the words of Krishna's devotees, the process of devotional service, how one can get out of the modes of nature. But there are some examples in the Vedic literature, in Bhagavatam and in other Vedic literature, which are actually contrary. They tend to promote the wrong conception. And we've been talking about them. It's here in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 23, verses 117 to 118. And it says, Moshe Lalila Ar Krishna Artardhan Keshavatara Ara Yarta Viruda Vyakayan Mahishi Harana Adi Sabha Maya Maya Vakya Sikhaila Yeche Sushidhantahai. Illusory stories opposed to the conclusions of Krishna consciousness concern the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, so the Maushala Lila. I looked it up today. Maushala means club. So the story of the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. Krishna's disappearance, what we were just talking about today, arrow being shot at Krishna's foot and he disappeared. The story that Krishna and Balaram arise from a black and white hair of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and the story about the kidnapping of the queens. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to Sanatana Goswami the proper conclusions of these stories, because these stories are circulated, and certainly people who are atheistic and materialistic, they focus in on these stories because it promotes the wrong concept. And these stories do have a proper way of being understood, but generally they're understood in the wrong way. So Krishna creates these kind of things to bewilder the atheists, so they can have some kind of idea or some kind of proof for their atheistic ideas. Of course, there's also the story of Krishna promoting the wrong idea when he's preaching to his father, about why they should worship Govardhan Hill. Krishna is promoting one of the false philosophies there. So those things do exist in Vedic literature.
Yeah, that's interesting. Then we have to straighten out. That's the only place I ever heard about the Krishna Balaram coming from a black and white hair, is reading that.
It's quite a common story in India.
Yeah, from the Hindus. They have these ideas. And actually, one guy asked me the other day, we were at Atlantic there, and he was standing, he comes, I think, all the time when we're there, and he just watches the kirtan. Then he was saying, Krishna died, isn't it? So I tried to explain it. But Krishna did leave, apparently left some kind of body. And the wives came and did the funeral and everything. But at the same time, everybody saw Krishna just going up in the sky and all the demigods all around him. But just so the atheists could say, just see, he died. So that was just a trick. Normally, like Lord Chaitanya, he just disappeared. There's different stories, but the one that we accept is, he went into the Gopinath temple and he never came out. And they went in and he wasn't there. And they just found one golden spot on the leg of Gopinath. He just merged into Gopinath because he is Gopinath. So others just disappear, The Sringadev just came out of nowhere and disappeared to nowhere. Some take birth and then like Vamandev or Parashuram or something, but then Parashuram is still living. But Krishna provides for everybody so the atheists can, become more atheist, more convinced. So that's interesting. And Krishna is bewildering, that's Vidambanan. Kunti Devi goes a long list of what's bewildering about Krishna, And he's Aja, he's unborn, but he seems to take birth, and we're going to have Krishna Janmastami. Janma means birth. I don't know, devotees still, we always say, oh, it's Krishna's birthday, because people like birthday parties. But he didn't really take birth, but it looked like he did, kind of. Although the first appearance wasn't an ordinary birth, I mean, he was Vishnu. I don't know how big he was. Our pictures, he's big, but... And then, otherwise they just found him next to Yasoda in the morning. Like apparently nobody had witnessed the actual birth. But that's Krishna. He apparently takes birth, he apparently dies, but really he doesn't do any of those things. The soul never takes birth either, the soul never dies. Only the body does. Soul comes into the body, but the fools can't understand how it can come into the body and how it can leave the body and get another body. I've been giving classes for a lot of, relatively new devotees. And especially the Chinese are very confused about that. How can the super soul do that? How can the soul leave the body? But you won't find an explanation that's satisfactory to mundane science about it, because it's not. It's spiritual. It's only Krishna. And Krishna is everywhere at the same time. He doesn't have to appear he just shows up. He's already there, but he can make himself visible. He can, they have science fiction stuff where someone's invisible and they can just show up somewhere and then they can disappear. So that Krishna did that all the time. But even when he went the last time, theoretically, to negotiate with the Kauravas to avoid war, Karna and Duryodhana actually calculated, we can put Krishna in the prison, and then, Yudhishthira will lose his enthusiasm for fighting. He just feels confident because he has Krishna on his side. And they actually tried to arrest Krishna. And Krishna just disappeared. All of a sudden, and Duryodhana kept looking, and wherever he looked, Krishna would immediately be somewhere else, and then he was everywhere. He showed a partial universal form. And Duryodhana was like we sing about Lord Nrsingadev, Ito Nishinga, Parato Nishingo, Yato. He's over here, he's over there, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. That's what Hiranyakasipu was saying also. Lord Nrsingadev, wherever he looked, he was there. And wherever he tried to attack him, he wasn't there. So that's Krishna. And then Krishna just walked out laughing. And how they could be so foolish. They think they could kidnap Krishna. After all the things he'd done, before that, all the big demons he'd killed and all the amazing things he'd done, and they're still thinking like that. Because the demons are just covered over by Krishna's energy. So we're trying to uncover people by the power of the holy name, especially, and also by the books. So devotees, they just find more and more ways to distribute the books. Now, time is coming for this Bhadra campaign, for more and more Srimad Bhagavatam sets. I just heard they have a new set now they just printed, and it's got some CD or some link or something to help you study it, and so we want the people that have the books, to try to help them to read the book, to discuss the book, spend time with them. If you meet someone that has a book, then spend time with them, ask them what they're reading, and help them. And hopefully they can come to the temple and get prasadam, and they can get darshan, and they can get kirtan and really dancing in ecstasy, because that's what everybody needs. Everybody wants to dance, that's natural. Dancing and singing is a natural activity of the soul. It's in Goloka. It's no walking and no talking, only singing and dancing. right? That's how we're supposed to be. Always chanting, always dancing, always talking about Krishna. All right? Anything else, Gopalji? Oh, yes, sir.
I understand that it's called causeless mercy. I'm referring to the liberation or the salvation that Shishupal and some of the demons get in Krishna's pastimes. But I was wondering why did they get that result? Why did they get to merging the Brahmajyoti?
Well, Shishupal was, very special because he's Jai and Vijay, and Krishna sent them to the material world to act like demons, so he could, many different reasons. So that's why they got it, because he'd always been thinking of Krishna his whole life. Kamsa was also always thinking of Krishna. But you don't get bhakti for that, that kind of thinking. But eventually Kamsa did also. Kamsa became a Kazi. So, but causeless means it's just Krishna just does it. So we should think, like, why me? Like many people are thinking, why me? Why am I suffering? I'm a good person, right? Intelligent people are thinking, I once was looking at YouTube and I saw a song, a popular singer, why me? So I thought it was, but actually the song was, why am I getting so much mercy from God? Why is he giving me so much? I don't deserve it, So even, ordinary religious people can think of that. So that's causeless. It's just Krishna just does it. There's no particular reason. Except Krishna just chooses. For some reason he sees this is a good person, this person is ready for it or something. He gives it. And that we shouldn't think, well, I've done so much tapasya and I've been so good and that's why, we need a lot of help, So, all right? Generally everything has a cause and every effect has a cause and every cause has an effect. But mercy is a special thing. And Lord Chaitanya is the most merciful, the most magnanimous, most munificent. That means giving much more than you deserve. That's the official meaning of munificent. He's giving much more mercy than we actually deserve. It's especially Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. It's Kali Yuga, so just out of pity, souls have gone so far. And we see how, New York especially, visible how degraded, how the soul can become, and still be in a human body, and I try to give them prasadam also. All right? Thank you very much. Shri Radha Govinda ki jai.
Hari.
And Vidura and Uddhava ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
His Holiness Kavichandra Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. And all the audience, if there's anybody on the YouTube, I'm sure there's much more than sitting here in person. Right?
7.
How many?
7.
7. And more come later. Okay? Hare Krishna.